So this is actually the first reaction video of Jeff Nippard I will ever do. But I've literally started working out because of this man about 2.5 years ago. So this is crazy to see. Steroids are
The
awesome.
problem with steroids
So let's
is
check
that
it out.
they work. Like,
Facts.
really work. That's probably
Facts.
irresponsible for me to say, but if we're going
But
to
it's
talk about
true.
the steroid epidemic, we need to do it honestly.
Here's a
Facts.
3-week trend cycle update for you guys.
Buying trend in Thailand.
Oh man.
Week trend cycle update for you guys.
Buying trend in Thailand.
Steroids build muscle way faster than something like creatine. It's not even close. If you started taking 5 grams of creatine every day for a year straight, you'd add about 2 pounds of extra muscle. If you started taking steroids at a normal bodybuilding dose, you'd probably add about 20 pounds of extra muscle that year.
Damn. 20 pounds of muscle is insane.
But it could be more depending on your genetics and how much you take. I'm a lifetime natural bodybuilder, and these
Facts.
are my testosterone levels right now.
Oopsie.
485 nanograms per deciliter. That's right around the middle of the normal range for someone my age. This is bodybuilder Chase Irons, the world's most honest, enhanced bodybuilder. He also had
That's
blood work
good.
done
He's
this
honest
month.
about it.
Where do you think his testosterone levels are?
800,
Double
900.
nine or triple nine? Nope. His levels are literally off the charts. The test maxes out at 10,000 nanograms per deciliter.
Holy moly. Bro, all that testosterone. Wow.
And his testosterone was higher than that.
That's
He openly admits to taking a
wow.
lot of gear, and this shows just how big the gap between natural and enhanced can get. More people are taking steroids now than ever before. Why is that? Well, I think it's because
Mental health issues, the stigma, as a man, you got to be very muscular, you got to be strong, right? And then you also have to think everybody else is also taking it. So there is a bit of a peer pressure for, hey, you're lifting with the bros. You want to be as strong, you got to start doing stuff the other bros are doing, right? It's just part of the peer pressure on top of social stigma, right? It's definitely a very, very deep issue going on in the weightlifting sphere.
more and more fitness influencers are opening up about their anabolic use.
It's
In
good that
theory,
they are.
this honesty
I'm
is a good
happy to
thing.
see that.
That's because anyone watching would be able to adjust their own expectations for their goals. If they're natural and they know their favorite
But of course, there's a con to it as well, right? So people that are just normal and they lift whatever, right? Versus someone that's an influencer, right? And influence is just something, it's just how much do people like you, right? So if you're gonna watch a video about somebody working out and they're saying, do this exercise, do that exercise, well, yeah, if they look like they go to the gym, you're more than likely to listen to that person. Now, think of it as a social media thing, right? Where there's legitimately millions of people that want to become famous, right? Now you're competing with these other influencers that have people that watch them. So what's the difference between this guy that lifts weight and talks about exercises and this guy? Well, this guy is absolutely jacked, and this guy looks like he just works out maybe like 3 or 4 times a week at the gym. Obviously, he looks fit, but are you going to listen to this guy or are you going to listen to this guy, right? The guy with 100,000 followers, super huge traps, biceps huge as hell, right? Bigger than my head. Who are you going to listen to, right? If you're an impressionable teen or young kid and you don't really know about drugs, you're most likely going to listen to the super huge guy.
fitness influencer isn't, they'd be able to lower their own standards and say, okay, well, now I know that result isn't achievable for me. But this kind of backfired. A lot of people didn't lower their expectations, they just started taking steroids. And the bigger
That's
problem is
sad.
a lot of fitness influencers are only ever partially transparent. They say they're on
Of
steroids
course.
and they show their gains, but they rarely, if ever, show any of the bad stuff. So the
Of
only
course.
logical conclusion is that steroids are amazing. But that's
Exactly.
misleading. So to help you understand exactly
There's a
what
lot of
happens to your
dangers
body
to doing
when you take
steroids.
let's inject some juice together and see what happens next. Good and bad. This is testosterone enanthate. It's one of the most common forms of steroids that people take. It's basically just a testosterone molecule with a carboxyl group attached and dissolved in a vegetable oil so you can inject it. There's also some kind of aromatic compound like benzoyl benzoate in here, which prevents bacterial growth and helps the testosterone dissolve better. When you inject the needle into your muscle, a bubble of oil is squeezed in between the individual muscle fibers, which spreads out and forms this elongated shape. The testosterone molecules then slowly make their way into the bloodstream over the course of several hours. There, enzymes called esterases cleave off that carboxyl group, and then the testosterone is carried by molecules called binding proteins to the muscle, where it enters a single muscle cell. Now its job is to make that muscle cell bigger. And if that's all that steroids did, that'd be sweet, and I'd be on
Side
them.
effects.
But there's a lot more that happens. For one, your heart is also a muscle. So, of course, the same thing happens there. The testosterone enters your heart cells and tells your DNA to make your heart bigger. Having a big heart sounds like a good thing, but it's really not. When your heart grows, especially one compartment called the left ventricle, the extra bulk actually makes it harder for your heart to squeeze and relax. This means your heart won't be able to pump blood as effectively, which increases your risk of heart failure. Now, I want to say, I'm not the health police. You can do whatever you want with your own body.
Of course, right? Like, some people are gonna sit here and watch this and be like, "Oh, look, he's trying to shame people." Like, no, you need to be aware of what you're doing to your body, and even if you don't want to be aware of it, other people need to be aware of it. Okay, just because you don't care or you just care about your gains or whatever, right? Whatever it is, maybe you go through. Maybe it's something super personal and super just mental health, whatever it is, right? That's something you got to go through, and that's something you choose to go through whenever you decide, hey, I'm just going to take steroid, whatever the reason why. I don't really care, right? You do it, it's your life, but you also are going to leave an impression on people, right? Just, you're a big guy at the gym, all the ladies looking at you, all the other guys looking at you like, damn, that guy's jacked, right? It's just gym culture. It is what it is, right? So, there definitely needs to be a video like this to educate people, say, hey, yeah, it's not all positive, right? Most people, if they're looking at Instagram, they're not going to see all this scientific backed research when it comes to what else does testosterone and what else does steroids and what else does creatine and what does all this stuff actually do to the human body. So this is very important.
I've got no problem with people who enhance, but I want people to at least be aware of exactly what you're doing and the full effect it has, good and bad. For example, not many people realize that steroids affect your brain. To explain this, I wanted to find someone with scientific education and firsthand experience with steroids.
Dr. Mike. Cool. Appointment booked.
Hey.
Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Yeah. Steroids can cause in many people really high levels of anxiety. It's dose dependent. It's also compound dependent. Things like Tren cause way more anxiety than other milder compounds like Premone. So this is fun. I haven't admitted this yet, but it's not a particularly crazy admission. I recently took a validated, empirically validated, scientifically based scale for anxiety. And actually currently, right now, I have severe anxiety disorder. It's probably the most severe type of anxiety disorder, short of like panic disorder.
Oh man!
And that's actually right now, as I talk. That's what
it's
I have.
Chronic.
And another one, also another psychological side effect. Some types of your intelligence degrade over time with steroid use. This was tested in people currently using steroids and people who used to use steroids. Most people are just totally unaware that steroids have that potential effect on IQ reduction. And since IQ or just intelligence is such a global quality that you probably want to hang on to most of it as much as you have.
Of course.
It's a real serious thing to trade off.
And that tracks with the science.
Right. So that's an interesting fact. Like, I didn't even know about that, right? So steroids lowers your IQ. So are you going to sacrifice your intelligence for more muscle growth, right? And then, like, this answer is totally dependent on what type of person you are, right? So, that's crazy. Like, you're trading your brain for more muscle, essentially. That would be like the curse of taking steroid. You get stronger, but you get dumber.
2021 study took 3D MRI scans of the brains of over 200 weightlifters. About half of them were natty, the other half enhanced. The scans revealed that the lifters who took steroids had a significantly bigger brain age gap. That means when they looked at the natural brains, their brain age matched their actual age. But the brains of the enhanced lifters looked much older than they should look for someone their age. Their brains were
They're degrading
faster than they should be. And the psychology of steroids is fascinating. Most people take steroids because they want to look bigger and feel better about the way they look. And I get it. I want to look bigger and feel better too. And steroids will make you look bigger, but they might not help you feel any better about the way you look.
Of course. Holy moly, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane. So, what are the reasons why people take steroids? Regardless of like whatever the answer might be, it's like the one true fact is that you will become stronger. You will become stronger taking steroids. How could you not? You have 20 pounds of extra muscle, right? But whenever you look stronger or you feel stronger, that naturally does boost your confidence. More people are looking at you like, wow, he looks great. He's in shape. But you won't feel that. You won't get that normal good feeling of, oh, snap, people notice that I look good. Because you are going to be stricken with anxiety, which means you will never feel good. No matter how strong you actually look or how amazing you really look to everybody else in your own mind, you will keep thinking you are inadequate, which would lead to more steroid use, which would lead to you still feeling inadequate. But steroid use makes you dumber. So you are sacrificing your entire like healthy mental lifespan for physical gain, but you don't even get the spiritual satisfaction of enjoying it. So what's the real point of doing it? Right? If you're going to break it down logically, what is the actual real point of doing steroids? You don't get to enjoy the benefits unless it's just being stronger, which, being stronger is dope, right? I've been a gym bro before. Being strong is amazing. Pushing 225 is amazing, right? Pushing 300, that's amazing, right? And then there's some people that are going to hear that and they're going to say, damn, that's it, because they're super fucking strong, right? But does it matter? Not really.
It actually could make your body dysmorphia worse. That's because a lot of people think
That's
if they just
sad.
start enhancing, then they'll look how they want. Just because you take gear doesn't mean you're going to look like sebum. And then when you eventually come off, you'll quickly lose a good chunk of the size that you
You'll
put
plateau.
on and feel smaller than ever. At that point, it becomes near impossible not to go back on, take even more steroids, and the cycle continues. Again, that wouldn't really be a problem if steroids didn't impact pretty much every system in your body. But they do. After you inject,
Your heart's
some of
gonna
that
change.
testosterone is converted into a hormone called DHT, which causes hair follicles to shrink faster.
Oh,
This
no.
is why so many bodybuilders are bald in their 20s. Some testosterone is also converted into estrogen, which can increase breast tissue formation in men.
Bro, rest in peace, Joe Exotic, bro.
Some testosterone is also converted into estrogen, which can
Him and Jeff Nippard, they were like my big inspirations whenever I was starting like my weightlifting journey, right? Joe Aesthetic for like the social media, because he would teach this is how you do the lat pull down, this is how you do that. And then when I get home, I'm watching Jeff Nippard eating broccoli and brown rice and chicken. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do this next time. Oh, this does this, right? So man, remember, no matter how much you want to look good or whatever is driving you to want to become just, I guess, more popular, right? Or whatever reason you're doing weightlifting, please be careful. There are risks to steroids. There's also a risk of just going to the gym as well. Just be careful. Do the exercises right. Do them properly. Do your research. I've seen some kids run around a gym. A gym is not a playground. Y'all be safe out there.
increase breast tissue formation in men, leading to soft, puffy nipples, also known as gyno. The most reliable way to get rid of gyno is surgery, and while most people will take other drugs to prevent that conversion to estrogen, almost every bodybuilder you know has had to deal with gyno at some point. Injecting testosterone also lets your testicles know that there's more than enough testosterone to go around,
So they
shrink to about 1/2 of their usual size. The shrinkage quickly shuts down your body's natural ability to make its own testosterone,
no.
which is why some people need to inject testosterone for the rest of their life. Steroids also make sebaceous glands on your skin grow bigger, which causes them to overproduce
acne?
a sticky sticky, oily substance called sebum. Sebum moisturizes and protects your skin in normal amounts, but causes acne when overproduced. Steroid users will try to combat this by taking other drugs for acne treatment, but then they have their own side effects.
What would be a side effect that most people wouldn't be aware of until you've kind of done it?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are a few of those I can think of. Because anabolic steroids are mostly gotten in, at least the United States and Canada, through underground laboratories, some of the gear you get is like damn near farmer grade. It goes in smooth as butter, never does anything, no inflammation. Some of the gear goes in there, and boy, does it
messes you up.
It mess you up? And I have been personally hospitalized at least once for a non-infected but insanely immune responsive abscess. My quad was like half a foot out to one side. I've had friends get hospitalized for abscesses. The doctors have to cut your skin open. They have to drain it. And lastly, the term roid rage, but it's really aggression. And it very infrequently displays itself as actual violent acts, but the thoughts you get on steroids are disturbing. You might like war movies and stuff, but if there's a war movie playing in your head every single second you're awake and asleep, you get a little old after a while. But you have big muscles, so I guess that's cool. So that's how the cookie crumbles.
Let me get a second opinion on that.
More plates, more dates. Gotta watch this guy as well.
Hello.
Yo. A pretty common reported anecdote is feeling like you just hit puberty again. For the first 6 to 8 weeks, it literally feels like you're 16 years old again.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel like that's a good thing in the gym.
Overall, because you're now an adult with the libido of a raging 16-year-old, and you have responsibilities and things to keep up with, and all you can think about is your perpetually erect penis, basically, which is not ideal. Increased probability of injury. This is sometimes talked about when your strength is skyrocketing. Your connective tissue cannot maintain the pace of your muscular strength, and often this will lead to unnecessary injury in the gym because, if your bench goes up 50 pounds in 6 weeks, you're not gonna hold back. You're gonna keep pushing because this weight feels like a feather now. You're gonna go as far as it can take you, but your connective tissue is not keeping up with that pace, and you'll see often bodybuilders that end up with brutal injuries.
It's hard to say how much steroids shorten your lifespan, but they definitely do. One 2024 paper followed over 1,000 steroid users for 11 years with an average age of 27. During the same time frame, they also followed 60,000 people of the same age, but not on steroids. 2.8% of the steroid users had died by the follow-up, while only 1% of the non-steroid users had died. That's a lot of excess deaths, which led the authors to note that the excess death rate in this young adult population is striking. Of course, this depends on the dose that you're taking.
I think what a lot of people think is, I'm not going to go crazy with the juice. I'm just going to do a little sports TRT or whatever, 150, 200 milligrams a week. How do you feel about that?
I think the word TRT is very conflated with baby cycle essentially at this point. When you're on TRT, even if it looks on paper like a normal total testosterone, it is not representative of what you could do naturally. So even if you're on low dose TRT, on paper you could define it as such, but it's certainly you're essentially on mini enhancement territory perpetually, which I'm not to say that that's bad, because that's almost like the boat I fall into myself essentially. It's just a matter of managing the risk to reward on it, and if you feel it is worthwhile for yourself, considerate of all of the factors that
you're gambling with your life. You are legitimately just gambling with your life. Listen to everything he has to say. You are gambling.
The risk to reward on it.
The risk to reward.
It is worthwhile for yourself.
Is it worthwhile?
All of the factors that
consider the factors.
Would you say there is a healthy way to use steroids?
So everything is a spectrum in this case. So there are healthier and less healthy ways.
Yeah, yes, sure. But remember, you still are changing your body, right? Regardless of the fact of, maybe it's a little bit whatever, maybe it's not as high as this guy, or maybe it's just enough so I don't have this side effect, blah, blah, blah. It's still a change.
And if you want to use steroids in a healthier way, then what you're going to do is start with very small amounts of them, check your blood work, do various heart scans and procedure, consult with a professional coach who does this for a living, have a medical doctor on retainer. to make sure that you're getting every several months or twice a year blood work. You check your
It's
blood
not going to
pressure
be
all the time.
easy to do it
You cycle
safely.
properly, coming on and off. You take as little gear as will accomplish the effect you're interested in. If you do
If you mess up in any of these, it could be detrimental to your health. Remember that.
that, you can definitely do it healthier than not. But, there are ways to race a car and design a race car and design the suit and the crumple zones that make it safer. But as soon as you pass 200 miles an hour, safer is the term. It's not safe. It was never safe. And so steroid use is less
Exactly.
safe
So
almost
just be
always
aware. Be
than not
aware.
taking steroids, but you can make it very, very safe, or you can make it pretty roll the dice risky. The real big decision is on how you approach it.
I notice people at like a really young age coming up to me and being like, hey, like I might hop on, like, I've been training for a while now, like teenagers. Do you have like an age in mind where it's like, this is where, you're old enough to even.
You know what's crazy about it? It's that, of course, teenagers, they're young. They're going to want to try this stuff so they can get big, so they can get jacked as fast as possible, right? Not everybody wants to take 2 to 4 years of just training to gain 5 pounds of muscle, right? I'm just throwing out numbers, right? But it would take time versus, I could do it safely. I could take a little bit. I could try and reason myself on why I should take steroids because I think it's good for me. And I just want whatever result that it is that you want. Sure, bro. Like, you just got to realize you're going through mental gymnastics for this shit. You're risking your life for this shit. And it legitimately changes your brain. So if you're 16 and you take this and your brain starts aging, right, rapidly and your heart starts changing, right? You're 16 years old. Your body's not even fully developed. Your brain's not even fully developed, you know? And of course, like if they're 16, I don't even expect them to think like how I'm thinking, right? Because they're young, which is why they would need proper guidance, 100%. So I don't even like me personally. What he's the doctor, not me, right? I didn't go to school for this. I've never done steroids, period, right? I'm just a guy who's worked out and has watched a lot of videos about working out, right? This is just what I am saying, right? Nobody should be touching steroids until they're like 23, right? Like the brain stops developing around what, 21 or something like that. Y'all let me know when does it actually stop developing, right? That would be the best possible time to start steroids whenever your body is already done. And then you can afford to take a steroid, right? Because you don't even know what your life's going to be like by the time you reach that age. And yet you want to just you're basically accelerating it. You're shrinking your lifespan for this life-changing decision. Steroids ain't just something you just hop on and then you hop off 5, 10 years later and there's no issue, right? This is going to be a life-changing decision you're going to make. It's way crazier than tattoos, right? It's way crazier than piercings. This is modifying yourself. So please don't do this shit. Uncle KhunShawn is asking you, please do not start doing this until you are like 23, bro. Until you're like 23, you're like, all right, 23, I'm locked in. I'm taking the trend. I'm taking the TRT. I'm gonna be like, all right, brother. But hey, you made that decision at a proper age versus a 16-year-old, bro. If a 16-year-old started doing it, honestly, I just feel bad personally.
Like consider it, and before that, just figure out your training and diet.
Yeah, there's a couple things that go into that. One is some kinds of steroids close your growth plates early,
Oh
and
shit,
that means they'll prevent you from reaching an adult height.
that's
Some men
terrible.
don't stop growing until they're 22 years old. And if you start taking it when you're 16, you're probably going to be a short king for much longer than you anticipate. Well, actually, a shorter king than you ended up should have become with your genetics. And to almost the same group of people to whom jacked lifestyle is important, being as tall as possible is also important, seemingly. Another thing is the brain develops in very, very
That's
high
the most
level ways.
important. Forget about being tall. Who cares about being tall when your brain isn't working? Come on.
well into your late 20s, and in subtle ways through your entire lifespan. And so until about your mid 20s, I would say there's a high probability that steroids will stunt your brain development to a significant extent. And so I would say my cutoff age generally, as the conversation for responsible medically supervised steroid use for serious goals by a serious individual, begins at age 25.
The answer I usually
There it
give
is.
is like get at least 10 years of natural training under your belt, because you'll have figured out what works for your body. And then from there, you'll
I fucking
also,
respect that answer, man, to say 25. Even I was like 23, right? Because 23 is like, 21, you can drink. Okay, if you can destroy your brain cells by drinking, let me give you an extra 2 years to really properly prepare for this. But the scientific expert, medical expert, he said 25. I'm 26.
by default, be at least in your like,
Bro, you could be as smart as you want to. You really could. And it would change your life way more than muscles could ever do for you. Remember that.
mid 20s. Most people don't start lifting until they're at least, in their mid teens. So, it kind of ticks both of those boxes. And so, yeah, I always encourage people. It's like, have you been training hard and smart for 10 years? If not, then I don't think it's decision time for you yet.
And I'll be honest, there have been several moments in my own bodybuilding career when enhancing has been very tempting. Even now, especially with the fitness standards
It's
increasing rapidly
always,
and more and more fitness
always,
influencers juicing.
And I think the
always,
standards have shifted so much since, we started out
always.
like 6 years.
It's becoming more socially acceptable to do so. That's what it really is. It's more socially acceptable to take trend, to take steroids. Why? Because of the physical results that you can see with your eyes. Not everyone knows about the underlying issues that come with taking this drug. It is not worth it. It's honestly not. But this is just my opinion. You live your life, right? And the only reason why I care so much is I just care about society, right? I care about us trying to become better human beings in general, right? So whatever issues you're going with or you're going through, whether it's emotionally or mentally, it's something that can also be beaten without having to necessarily look good. But it's also hard to say that when, like Jeff said himself, the standards are changing. And it's also becoming socially acceptable to say, yeah, I take steroids, right? Because, like, even though I'm going serious about steroids, I personally don't have issues with other people that do it because that's their life. The thing is, it's just going to make it a bit more difficult in society, right? Because now the younger generations are doing it. 16-year-olds are doing it. How is that going to help other people when these 16-year-olds grow up and they're having these issues with the constant anxiety, the shrinking testosterone, the your brain is basically getting older, and you're gonna have anger issues. You're gonna be upset, and society is constantly going to degrade. Like legitimately, society has been degrading for quite a while, quite a long while, right? But it's just these little things that are slowly going to just kill us all, honestly. But live your life, bro. Live your life. I'll try and pick up the pieces while it goes by.
Years ago, like I was in the natty or not conversation as a physique that's like almost too good, and now six
Now
years
they're like,
later,
"You're
it's
small,
like
bro."
it's like you're the guy who doesn't lift but knows,
But instead of enhancing, I've decided to do something different. I keep thinking maybe I've reached my natural limit for muscle growth. But
Maybe.
have I actually? Am I actually at my natty limit, or have I just not been training as hard and smart as I could be? I wasn't going to reveal this, but this year I'm doing an experiment with McMaster University here in Canada to see how much muscle it's possible for me to build naturally this deep into my lifting journey. If I do everything perfectly, can I still make gains naturally? So for this entire year, I've
The human body naturally has limits. Jeff, you know this already. Try your hardest as much as you can. But remember, at the end of the day, it is what it is, brother. I get everybody around you they're enhancing physically. You live your life the way you live your life. Just be careful.
I've been doing everything 100% perfectly in the gym. I'm tracking every single set, taking the last set of every exercise to true technical failure. I'm not skipping any sets or any workouts. I'm also committing 100% to my diet. I haven't missed a single day tracking in macro factor, and I've hit my calorie and protein goal every single day. Now, I'll be sharing my full results at the end of this year, but I can say that I've definitely made some solid gains already. This doesn't always show up as well on camera, but I've gotten more compliments about having put on some solid size at my local gym than I've gotten in years. But similar to me, what happens to a lot of guys is that they think they're at their natty limit and only steroids will help, when in reality, they're probably just not being as diligent with their training and their nutrition as they could be. Why not dial that up to 100% first? Then you can make that decision. That's how I feel anyway.
That's the hard part about it, right? To naturally do this, it takes an outside force. You can't just put 100% into everything unless your life is already aligned perfectly to do this. Jeff Nippert has the ability to do this. He has the ability to focus 100% on lifting weights because that is his career. You and I, we don't have that. Even if we really want to, like some people, they do like the social medias and stuff like that. There are outside factors that are gonna tempt you, right? But always remember there is a natural limit. Whether you hit that limit or not, who knows? But there is a limit. And if you keep trying to get bigger, you keep saying, oh, I'm gonna get more gains, oh, I'm getting more compliments at the gym. Eventually the compliments will stop because you will eventually hit the limit. If you haven't hit it now, you'll hit it in the next 10 years. And then after that, remember, it's just all in your head. It's all in your head. You got it.
And if you want to commit and join me on a year-long journey to truly dedicated lifting and eating, consider downloading my nutrition app, Macro Factor. You can try it for 2 weeks for free to see if you like it first.
WAD, I'd say check it out if you're really dedicated to working out. I'm no longer a gym bro. I'm more into martial arts now. So I don't really hit the bench press, hit the any machines, honestly. I just hit the row. I have a row in my home gym and I have a martial arts bag. So that's all I do. I don't do anything else really. So definitely get this app if you decide, hey, I'm gonna go so serious in the gym. That's gonna be my life, basically. Your life will be the gym, which I mean, not a bad life, I guess, but it is what it is. So yeah, hope you guys learned something because I sure did. I learned a lot in this. Like honestly, this was a great video. I appreciate this. Steroids are awesome by Jeff Nippert. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye. Be safe.